Hello and welcome to At Your Service, where we are truly at your service. I am Addison Luckcock.
I'm Casey Alexander.
And I'm Mia Noel.
And today we're talking about performative activism.
Also, just in case you guys noticed, Emerson is not here today.
Yeah, I'm Emerson's temporary replacement. We'll see if I actually stay. We'll see.
We'll get her to stay. It's fine.
Yes.
So, what is performative activism? It is also referred to as slacktivism. Oh, that's clever.
That's a good pun.
That's so good.
I like that.
That should have been the joke. It is activism done to elevate oneself socially rather than to support awareness for a cause.
Some examples are like, especially recently, like 2020, 2021, performative activism is more common among social media apps and websites. With the protests and movements surrounding the police killing of George Floyd, many have taken to social media to show their support for Black Lives Matter. I guess I probably should just say Black Lives Matter. However, with this near explosion of engagement relating to racial injustice, some observers expressed concern that much of this engagement with the cause was performative, seeking to capitalize on the movement for social clout rather than to actually support the movement.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure you guys have been on like Instagram and TikTok and you've seen like the Blackout Tuesday and you've seen all these different accounts posting their support for Black Lives Matter when truly they really don't seem like they have an interest in the cause and, you know, like actual allyship with.
Yeah.
And then there's some of the ones that are like repost if you're against such and such.
Like,
and
does
then
that,
it's kind of... Does that really help?
Yeah, what I think I read an article about this like last year at some point, but it was with the Blackout Tuesdays, you're actually hurting the actual cause
because
there's a lot of black it's flooding the hashtags with just a bunch of black squares, so the actual thing that is like being said is completely drowned out just by the
sheer number
the nothingness.
So based on that, what exactly is the difference between performative activism and actually being a part of and having an allyship with a cause? So it's actually pretty difficult to draw a clear line between performative activism and allyship, although many actions are commonly considered performative activism do come from a place of sincerity. Like they are seeking social approval, but they also want to educate themselves more about the cause. So, best stated by Jordi Bertrand Ramirez. I'm so sorry if I butchered that name. But we conflate likes and views and follows with value. So even as people, they might have the best intentions, you're trying to play this game, like this algorithm of social media, while also trying to promote something that isn't inherently not individualistic. Like, you're trying to promote something as a cause, even though you yourself may not agree with it, if that makes sense.
Or you might not actually know what it's about.
Exactly.
It's basically like trend hopping, where you would be like, all right, this is popular right now, gonna do this. If this is popular now, gonna do this. Like it's the charity of the week.
And sometimes people just do it without even like really knowing what they're like saying, what they're trying to do, what they're trying to support.
I think a really good example of this would be that charity that was about like, it was something like it was entitled something like, it was about autism essentially, and it was like finding a cure for autism.
Oh, okay.
And it's actually a really terrible thing because people would support it and be like, yeah, I don't like autism, I want to support the...
Without knowing anything about
it. Without actually knowing anything, and it's actually a really terrible organization. That's why I don't want to name it, because I don't want to get the name wrong. And I don't fully remember the name, but I remember there was one and it was like, fixing this is essentially just being like, don't have autistic kids. And I'm like,
And another modern example is like the H1134 bill, which recently we've seen in Indiana, at least, especially with, you know, racial injustice and topics about racism. People are on social media not saying that it's a bad thing, and it's good to raise awareness about this bill and about what effects it can have, but people are just reposting articles and videos about it without actually doing any research about what it does. So obviously that's going to impact how people view.
And so like the thing is that like the people reposting, they probably mean like the best, but sometimes like it could actually harm if like the stuff that they're reposting isn't what it says that it is.
Yeah, like without doing research about it.
Yeah, there's more to it.
A genuine way to like make sure that you're not a performative activist would be like something more related to virtue ethics, which is doing good acts anonymously so that your name is not tied to it, and you know yourself that you are doing a good thing, but it is not. You know that it is not for anyone or anything to know about. No one has to know that you are involved in this.
Yeah.
You do support this clearly because you are donating or doing something to it. Like the best example that I can come up with in pop culture is when Tahani Al-Jamil in The Good Place donates $2 million to the Sydney Opera House to put on an opera. Yeah. And she does this completely anonymously in the show, and that's the point of it, is to be a good person without having your name tied. So now that we are very short on time still, let's talk about things like what things can be signs of performative activism.
Yeah, so some major signs of performative activism, obviously the superficial type, is using hashtags constantly, like hashtag woke, hashtag Black Lives Matter, hashtag anything that has a movement or a cause after it. Obviously these can be beneficial and they can lead you to good information and obviously like important figures in social media and who help others, but generally if it seems like an ad or if it seems in it just
like
for
not
the
genuine.
Yeah, if it seems disingenuine.
If it just doesn't seem real, then it probably isn't.
Yeah. So I would again say I'm just going to use the Black Lives Matter example because we've seen a ginormous upsurge of that in the last few years, as we said. I feel like just actually like you doing things for that movement, like going to events and not posting about going to events, but just being there for them, not like doing anything, just doing genuine real work for that charity or that like organization can really show your actual genuine support for it. And I feel like if you do that, you're becoming at least less performative. Like if you were at one point like performative, like if you didn't accidentally, but like if like last year in 2020 you posted the Black Square on Black Square Tuesday or whatever, right? Then
it obviously doesn't mean you're doing it just to seek attention. It just means you didn't know.
And then like this year you've kind of learned more about it and you've gone to events and you've done all that sort of stuff and you've like gone to rallies and like helped write policy and like do all that sort of stuff. Then like I feel like you can definitely evolve out of what you're doing.
Yeah. And so I have a quick question for you guys. What are some ways you think that we can show genuine interest in just our community and just everyday life in a cause that we support without being superficial or acting as a performative activist?
I mean, obviously, like talking to other people about it if there's like an issue in the community.
Okay.
Yeah. I agree. I think person to person is important. I also think I feel like signing petitions might be good, right? Like
signing petitions?
Like if there's petitions out there that's like change House Bill, like what's the one that we said? HB 1134?
1134, yeah.
1134, yeah. Like if there's that all kind of stuff, like change.com, all that sort of stuff. While it might not seem like a lot, like one signature will do a lot. If
a
everybody
lot of people
thinks that,
sign one signature.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't sign it, then and you think, well, one signature is not going to matter. It's the same problem that we have with voting. Like one vote doesn't matter. No, it does. Because if everybody thinks one vote doesn't matter, then nobody's voting.
Nobody's voting.
Yeah, everybody just doesn't want to take the time out of their day. So
yeah. So I feel like just actually take the time, do the work, like do all that sort of stuff, you know?
Because I think the thing is like with like performative activism, like at least like in regards to social media, it's kind of like it's just, I just do like click a few buttons and boom. Done with the day. I'm good. But like genuine activism is like you really like have to think about it, I guess.
And I mean, if you notice that you are doing things like almost superficially, you're doing things to self-promote and you're only really doing it to like interact with other people, I guess, like just to get an audience. I mean, obviously it's not great, But you can take the time out of your day to learn more about the cause that you're talking about.
And become a more genuine one.
Yeah, and just...
And I think part of the thing is that, like last year with the Black Lives Matter movement, when I saw all of like the people, all of my friends like resharing like those different posts, I was thinking like, if they notice that I'm not doing that, is that going to say something about me? And then I'd be worried about that, and then I'd like reshare them. And then like at some point I kind of realized like, it's not really about like resharing posts that'll make you like somehow a better person. It's
It'll just, because again, like Addison's mentioned before, like social media is too superficial.
It really is. Yeah.
So if you're not joining in, like if people might actually come, I would say no one's actually going to come up to you and ask, why didn't you retweet this?
Yeah.
But in like today's day and age, someone might actually come up to you and be like,
it's something that people could know.
Yeah, like why didn't you do this? And it's like, at that point, if someone's actually asking you, you can tell them, because I did this and I'm doing all this, and I don't need to retweet
you don't need to,
one
like,
thing.
Yeah, you don't need to.
I have all this other stuff that I'm doing. That being said, I think we'll wrap up this episode because it's getting a bit lengthy.
Yeah,
it's a tad.
I'm Casey Alexander.
I'm Mia Noel.
And I'm Addison Lecoq, and we have been at your service. Did you hear about the activists who fought against gravity? They started an uprising.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
That's good. That's good.
Very cringy.
No, I liked it. That was funny.
Good.
That was good.